Greed, defined as the intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth or power. Every hero in our group of 7 deadly sins is brandished with a mark they may never remove, a mark that symbolizes their sin they committed to permanently be brandished with the animal that represents that sin. Some things we do in this life haunt us. They stay on us just like the tattoo the 7 deadly sins possess. No matter what we do to atone for these things, we all have something that will stay with us until the end. As the story of the 7 deadly sins is fleshed out, we learn more about how these knights received their mark and how their characteristic echoes through their character. In today's video, we're covering one of the favorite sins, Bon, a character who seems to at first have no care in the world, but that is merely outwardly. Bon harbors within him a deep pain, a pain that stems from his sin greed, from losing the only woman in the world who loved him and whom he failed to protect, to at times betraying his only true friend in the world for the desire to reclaim the life of the woman he lost. Bon's story begins from a lowly youth living homeless until Zhivago, a wolfman, takes him as his own and taught him how to fend for himself, particularly through stealing. This is how his greed began. The way he was taught to survive was through taking things from others. This desire for things that he did not own carried out throughout his life. Upon adulthood, he was known as Bandit Bon, and he climbed the great Fairy King's tree to drink of the Fountain of Youth that he had heard about. In his pursuit of this, he was stopped by the fairy Elaine and was knocked off the tree in his pursuit countless times. Eventually, Elaine hears him out, and in their discussion she questions him on why he wants the Fountain of Youth. He wants immortality because throughout his life it has been pain, and he believes that if he lives long enough that something good would happen to him, all without knowing the best thing in his life happening was meeting this fairy. He also explained that humans are greedy because they want something in order to survive, or they want to show that they truly exist in this dark world, and so they take things from others. As he falls for this fairy, a demon invades the forest and starts burning it down. Bon tries to stop the demon, but it fatally wounds him and Elaine. In their dying moments, Elaine gives Bon the water from the Fountain of Youth that he so desperately sought for, and she does this through a kiss and chooses to save this human instead of herself. In these dying moments of Elaine, Bon tells her that he will make this up to her one day, that he will make her his one day, a promise that he holds closer to than anything. Eventually, after the events that transpire in the forest, Bon was sentenced to death for burning down the forest, a crime he did not commit. He didn't protest this sentence, and instead, in his first execution, his last words were that he was no longer Bandit Bon, but Undead Bon. Bon would go on to be executed 33 times, enduring suffering he felt he deserved for failing to protect the woman he loves. Cursed to live forever and continually remember his loss. A loss that he thinks could have been avoided if he never went to the forest to begin with. If he never sought for this Fountain of Youth, Elaine can still be alive. His physical pain was not suffering. He instead grew to be okay with the pain and felt no will to live, despite death not even being an option. Eventually, when Meliodas, the captain of the 7 deadly sins, stumbled upon him, he gave him a new opportunity for a new life, to come join the 7 deadly sins. Bon, upon joining the 7 deadly sins, is thought to, as all members had done to them, had Merlin put these tattoo marks upon them, brandishing them for their sins. His sin of greed is symbolized by a fox, always desiring more. This is his sin. Greed, from a youth until present, is something he can't seem to escape. Down the road, upon proposition by the goddess race, they tell Bon that if he were to kill Meliodas and give his life to them, that Elaine would be revived. This proposition, to kill his best friend, the man who saved him and gave his life a new purpose, all to save the woman he loves. Bon, desiring to have something not possible by normal means, bringing a woman back from death in order to bring himself happiness, he betrays his best friend and tries to kill him to obtain this. He again desired to have more than what he currently possessed. He was not satisfied. The grass was always greener. He thought upon the attainment of Elaine in her return to the real world and no longer from death, he believed that he could be happy. He wanted to fulfill that promise and make Elaine his. So he betrayed Meliodas without the thought of the repercussions. The hurting of someone he loved was not present on his mind during this. He was blinded by greed. Although not successful in his attempt to kill Meliodas, this again marked his immense greed, the sin he possesses, although he did it for something he viewed as noble. This haunts Bond to this day, that his greed overwhelmed him and made him try to kill the man he should owe everything to, his only friend in the world. Bond continually throughout the story becomes a better person and increasingly grows less selfish, but like some things in this world, the past is sometimes inescapable and irredeemable. Bond, the fox sin of greed, will have this sin brandished upon his immortal body and conscience. This is the sin Bond, the fox sin, carries, and a sin that many of us carry. Bond is the exemplification of greed within Seven Deadly Sins, as are all the members of the Seven Deadly Sins in their respective sin. Guys, thank you all for watching this video. This is a new video series I'm doing discussing how each of the sins embody their unique sins, and I thought what better to start it off with than Bond. Bond is a character I think many of us can relate to, especially seeing that he keeps an outward, happy appearance, but deep down, there's immense pain. Guys, as always, if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll be out with more videos soon.